Okay, I just did a video short on why the Democrats are implementing all of these so anti-American and destructive policies, explaining that what they're doing is running Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals in order to destroy and overwhelm the existing government operations so that they can get to a discussion with the American people about putting in place a new form of government, i.e. socialism, which the far left liberal youth radical progressive element of the Democratic Party has become indoctrinated with through the last 25 years of education and propaganda, non-education, and nothing but liberal propaganda. And now, of course, that far left liberal socialist wing is eating the Democrat Party. It's co-opted Joe Biden and his administration and is implementing Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals all across the country in their policies. So I thought maybe I should take more than a minute to explain what this is. Saul Alinsky was a quote unquote, just like Barack Obama, community organizer in the early 1970s who wrote a book called The Rules for Radicals in 1971. And in it, the book explains that a population in a country will never entertain a discussion, a serious discussion about any other or any new form of government until the current form of government is completely failed and is insufficient and isn't able to function. So, in order to get the American people to entertain a new discussion about a new form of government without telling them that the new form is to be socialism, but just to be willing to discuss a new form, it would first be necessary to overwhelm all of the existing operational systems within an existing government in order to demonstrate its insufficiency because it's being overwhelmed. Now, the method by which you use to overwhelm the system is, according to Alinsky, the ends justify the means. So whatever it is you need to do, that includes chaos, crime, anarchy, looting, riot, activities conducted like the brown shirt Nazis conducted in early Germany, disrupting towns, taking over government, shutting down opposing speakers, attacking shops, just overwhelming society's systems. So they let in all these immigrants to overwhelm the food system, the health system, the support system, the housing system. They allow the crime to happen, so you overwhelm the police system, the justice system, the court system. They let the criminals back out onto the streets to continue the assault. And with the entire Democratic Party and its far left-wing brown shirt cohorts, the Black Lives Matter groups, tearing down systems, structures, cities, businesses, shouting down speakers, trying to suppress speech on the internet, knocking and removing opposing candidates from the ballot, attacking and politically persecuting with unlawful abuse of office by Democrat DAs. All of this is intended to overwhelm law and order, overwhelm the rule of law in a desperate attempt to try and convince the American people that the current government is not sufficient and therefore we need to have a discussion about a new form of government, which, surprise, turns out to be socialism. A global socialism is what they want, which is why the Democrats are spending so much money helping other countries all over the planet. They have to bring them up as they lower America down so that you have an equality of nations, which serves as the foundation for your global socialism. Everybody's equal. Because as long as there's one giant tromping around the planet, nobody's going to listen to the little villagers getting tromped on by the giant. Everyone is going to respect and fear the giant. And that, in the analogy, is the United States of America. We're the giant on the planet. We're the ones who are able to control the criminal element, the violence, the warfare, where it raises its head around the planet. We've demonstrated that for over 100 years now, maybe less successfully in the last 20, but nevertheless, we're the giant. rules for radicals instruct that you must cut down the giant so that everybody is equal and we can usher in a new government, socialism, a global socialism, where equality of existence will be the supposed philosophical foundation. But when you examine the end result of socialism, you find that that's not what happens. What happens inevitably is 99% of the population is enslaved to the 1% of the Politburo that runs the operation for the entire country. And this pattern will simply be repeated across the planet in every nation, where rule of the majority will be effected by a minority, a very small minority, under the pretense of taking care of the people. Oh my, isn't that wonderful? The new government is gonna take care of you. Oh yeah, right. If you believe that, you should go back and live in Nazi Germany, because that's what Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals results in. A despotic tyranny that isn't democratic and isn't republic, because there is no rule of law. There is only the rule of the majority in a pure democracy, where the majority opinion can be created by appearance through the monopoly over publishing of information and the suppressing of oppositional information. So you can indoctrinate and control by suppressing the information people have available to them, and playing dictator across the globe and controlling the natural resources that create the ability to feed, house, shelter, and produce surpluses so that there can be business. Because if people only make as much as they need for themselves, half the planet starves, because half the planet isn't capable of doing that. So the planet is dependent upon the knowledge of those who are actually capable of producing. And what socialism does is it destroys the productive elements. Let's look at what just happened in South Africa and Zimbabwe. You had a few white men, admittedly, who controlled tens of thousands of acres of land, but who had the knowledge, the know-how, the machinery, the capabilities, and the resources to make the land produce food to feed the nation. And they did. And when socialism took over, they kicked out those 10,000 white farmers and gave the land to 1 million black farmers, claiming equitable distribution of the resource. And what happened? Famine. None of the black farmers knew how to manage land. They didn't have the machinery, they didn't have the capability, they didn't have the knowledge, they didn't have the financial resources. The farms all failed. They were no longer producing. They were managed by a small group of people who understood the matter. But as soon as you broke it up and passed it out to people that had no education and no knowledge, you destroyed the productivity. You didn't produce wealth. You didn't share the wealth. You destroyed it. Wealth only exists when it's accumulated as a pile that can be leveraged to do more things. As soon as you invade the pile, break it up, and pass it all out, it gets spent on liquor, alcohol, tobacco, and sex, and food. And then there is no more wealth. It's been destroyed. And then the government decides it has to have everything, not just the wealth. Your business, your property, your bank accounts, your inheritance, your assets. You don't believe me? Go ask the Chinese. Go ask the Russians. Go ask the Cubans. Go ask the Venezuelans. Go ask any country where they tried to put a socialist form of government in place. Socialism does not produce or share wealth. It destroys wealth and destroys the country's ability to produce anything meaningfully or profitably. Socialism is a catastrophe, but the Democrats are sure that this fantasy off on the horizon can be realized, because nobody's ever done socialism right. That's because there is no right when the whole principle is theft. Government can steal whatever it wants to control whatever industry it focuses on. Energy, automobiles, whatever it wants to focus on, it can destroy and control. So that's why the Democrats are putting all these nasty, terrible anti-American policies in place. They're working to destroy the republic. They're working to destroy the rule of law. They want it replaced with the rule of the majority, mob rule, because they can create the appearance of a majority opinion because they control the media. So when you can create the appearance and any opinion of a majority opinion that you want, you can then go ahead and enforce it on the basis of the majority rules. And that's the difference between a democracy and a republic. And that's why they keep yelling, democracy, 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 because they want you to think you have to obey the rule of the majority, that whatever they say, you have to do and agree with. But that's not the way a republic works. In a republic, you have the rule of law, not the rule of the majority, and the law controls the majority and prevents them from passing laws that take advantage of, punish, or attack or oppress the minority. Even if the majority is 99.999% to 0.00001, you can't write law to attack the 0.0001, like the billionaires. It's not majority rule, and that's what they want, because in majority rule, there are no limitations to the government power. You are ruled by that majority. It becomes the tyranny of the mob. It's not a good form of government, and every democracy throughout history has completely destroyed itself as soon as the people of the nation realized they could vote the treasury to themselves. And they did, and shortly thereafter, the democracy bankrupted out of existence. And this is the path the Democrats are taking America down now. The path to destruction and dissolution of the republic. It's all in Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals from 1971. It's the game plan they're running. Overwhelm all of the existing systems in order to get to a point where things are so bad, so broken down, so defective, so deficient, so insufficient in operation, that the American people will finally be willing to entertain a discussion for a new government. They've already got 25% of the population in on it, right? The 25% of the youth, 25% of the population, 25 or younger, are all screaming and yelling, mostly, for socialism, socialism, socialism. They've been indoctrinated. They're idiots. They're uneducated idiots, urging America to the rule of the tyranny of the mob, because they want to be part of the mob until it turns on them. And then they decide maybe it was wrong, but then it's too late, because you're in prison or dead. That's the history of socialism on this planet.